Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to ReLAYshons. Hello, humans of the world. So, this is episode 3. I'm so excited. So, this episode is titled Dangerously in Love. Why? Because we love loving. And I am here with another VIP guest. Okay, this is my homegirl Thatiana. So I know Thatiana since I was 13 years old. We met in biology class in the High School of Economics and Finance, and she sort of stalked me and then recruited me to be part of her, like, I don't know, clique. And I was not really with it initially, but then she kind of just stalked me until I was her friend forever. And now we're here 21 years later, Taliana. Is it 21? 21 years later?
I think it's been
Yeah,
21
some
years. Yeah.
21. Yeah, yep, 21 years. So,
How did I stalk you though? I remember you recruiting me.
is that the story you like to tell yourself? I
I
didn't
mean,
even talk to humans.
that's just how I remember it.
I didn't talk to any humans at 13 years old. I didn't even like people. I still don't like people, but I really didn't like people back then.
Well, before you went into like a whole cocoon, you recruited a couple of friends, and
Okay.
I just happened to be one of them. I don't remember stalking.
Okay, you guys. Okay. You know, everybody has their own perspectives and how they remember the history of our lives. So we're just going to leave it at that. We stalked each other. Okay? Cool. So I would like to start off with the premise of this topic. This topic is called unconditional love. Who does it better, women or man? So basically, this came up based on a Shade Room post. Everybody, I'm sure, follows the Shade Room, and Tatiana sent it to me, and I thought it would be perfect for us to just chat about it. I thought it was great. We share these types of posts all the time and have these types of topics. So Tatiana, go ahead, give them a little briefing for the people that didn't get to read it.
So it was a letter from, I think he was a fiance. It says, "Here's my situation. I love her. I promise I do. But she's testing that love. We've been married for 5 years. When we first got married, she weighed about 135 pounds and was gorgeous. Since we got married, she's taken on this whole extra personality. She's gained more than 60 pounds. This extra weight is not attractive to me at all. We are both school teachers, administrators. So we get home about 5 in the afternoon. I've expressed to her my concerns about the weight gain, suggested medical attention to see if there's a condition or something, purchased a gym membership, started buying the groceries for the house, and even cooking.
Mm.
Nothing has worked. Now she's complaining that I'm withholding sex, but that's not the case. I just don't like what I see, and it does not stimulate me. I can't get aroused by a woman that complains and makes excuses all day. I don't like the sight of those rolls and extra meat. I love my wife, but I'm not in love with what she has become. I don't like what I see, and I don't like what she's become, and I don't know what to do.
Oof.
Communication is not working, and I just can't make myself be attracted to something that's not pleasing to me. What do I do? I want to help her, but I don't know how.
Oof, that was so deep. Okay, so I think what I want to start off with, a little TBT from this truth that I'm stealing a little quick, is the definition of unconditional love. Because I believe that a lot of the reasons why we have so much misunderstanding in the world is because we define things differently and our perspectives are differently. So I wrote down the Wikipedia definition for unconditional love, and I want to read it to you. Unconditional love is known as affection without any limitation or love without conditions. This term is sometimes associated with other terms such as true altruism or complete love. It is a concept comparable to true love, a term which is generally used to describe love between lovers. So, Tatiana, I ask you, what is your definition of unconditional love?
I mean, I think that unconditional love means that you would love somebody no matter what the circumstances are.
Okay, and then mine, my definition is someone who loves you for you, accepts you without demands, believes in you, and supports you through both triumph and tragedy. So now that we kind of got our understanding of unconditional love, who do you think does it better? Or who does it the right way? Women or men?
I mean, I think my opinion is a little biased. I'd say, based on what I've seen firsthand, I think that, and I mean, this is a very like broad perspective. This isn't every single situation that I've ever encountered. I'm just saying, like, if I had to break it out into percentages, I think women love better than men because they show their love better. But that doesn't necessarily mean that men don't love to the same extent. I just think they don't show it as much as women may show it.
Mm. And basically, women, how I believe, women are naturally more nurturing, right? And they're more caring and they're more giving. And men have like the reputation for being savages, right? With their emotions. Which I don't believe is necessarily true. I think men are more emotional than women. They're just taught to suppress it, as women are more accepted to be emotional. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but at the same time, we can only see what you let us see. So if you're being a savage and you're not showing your love for someone, then how are they supposed to be able to see it?
That's
I'm
true.
not saying that that's like wrong, like as you said, that's just how society has, I don't know, conditioned
Conditioned.
men to be.
Hmm.
But just because it's the way it was all these years doesn't mean that you can't take a step towards changing it. And I think that once you make a commitment to someone, whatever savage lifestyle you may have been living before,
Hmm.
you would have to adjust that to let whoever it is that you're making a commitment to know that you actually love and care for them.
Right. I also, even this guy, like the fact that he was being so specific about saying that he made attempts to help his wife, I thought was commendable. I think that showed his emotions.
I
I mean, it was
disagree.
brutal. It was brutally honest, right? But I like brutally honest, so that's my own personal preference. But the brutally honesty came from a source of wanting to stay in his marriage, right? He wanted to help his wife so that they can be in a better place sexually, emotionally, and probably spiritually as well. So don't you think like you get at least a little? Does he get a little bit of kudos for speaking his mind?
Not for me. I mean, maybe. You know what? When I first read it and I sent it over to you, my first thought was, he's so selfish because I don't really think that if the shoe was on the other foot, she would be like, I don't think this would be a thing for her. Like a 60 pound. I mean, it's a lot of weight, but she's not like better. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is the time for her to kind of grab control of her life
Mm-hmm.
and reverse that weight to a certain extent. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, out of the 60, at least 20 is just she's getting older, and the other
Mm-hmm.
40 have to go.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, but just in general, I just like the words that he just seemed very, very stuck on. I don't know. I can't really. I don't know. Like, just reading it over again, I just felt like it was just more than selfish. It just seemed like I didn't
He
read
didn't
love.
care. He didn't. He didn't. It didn't sound loving.
It didn't. It sounded like someone who had already given up and
Mm.
was just kind of venting to the
Mm.
world, perhaps something that they can't tell friends, families, or anyone close because it sounded really brutal.
Mm.
And if you really can't love somebody through that, then is that really loving through
Is that
thickness and
unconditional?
health? That doesn't seem unconditional to me. I'm not saying that she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to change her ways. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that kind of weight gain is only going to lead to health problems.
Right.
But you can't really say that you love someone unconditionally if you're saying like things like I don't like the sight of what I see. You know what I mean? Like, it just.
Right. It was brutal. You know, when I read it, I read something completely different. I read a man that was desperate to try to figure out what was wrong in his relationship, and he was trying to find a resolution. Um, I also, just from my own experiences, I went through weight gaining in relationships in the past, and I remember me feeling insecure about it, like me not being myself because of my weight gain. And I also heard that in him. I heard that his wife wife isn't the same, not because she's physically changed, but she's also emotionally has changed, and her security of herself has changed, and her assurance of herself has changed, right? Because when we gain weight, a lot changes in that. And it's, I think I read beyond his quote unquote criticism. I read him saying my wife is not the same person, more than the reasons why, or the way she looks. It was how she's acting, how she's emotionally connecting to me, how she feels about herself, right? How could you have sex with someone who's not fully comfortable with how they look? It brings conflict, and this is me just speaking from my own experience. Like, I don't feel comfortable when my weight is not at my comfort level, whatever that is. And whenever I had gained weight in the past, I had a specific relationship where I gained a lot of weight, and I almost didn't want him to see me like nude. And I was just so uncomfortable with myself. And so I don't know. I just kind of I read more into what he was saying. It was more than the brutal words. I just read like desperation and him really wanting to figure out what was going on with his wife and help her.
No, I didn't really read
Mm.
desperation. But you know,
It was just brutal.
I think it was brutal. Yeah.
So how do you see self mastery in line with having love or loving unconditionally, right? Like this idea of loving unconditionally. Do you love yourself unconditionally all the time? Do we love everybody else unconditionally all the time? Like what this word unconditional, don't we all have conditions?
Yeah, we all have conditions, but I just think that I don't know, like I was telling someone the other day, you have to choose your words when you speak to people. And it just I feel like what he was saying, like what he wrote to the shade room, I just feel like that's something he may have already expressed to her. And just to tie back into what you were saying about how she feels about herself, he is in no way, shape, or form responsible for fixing however she feels about herself. She can only do that
Mm-hmm.
within herself.
Ain't that true?
But at the same time, if he feels that way about her, she can feel it.
What do you mean?
People can feel the way you
You
feel
feel about
about them.
them.
You bring that energy.
Oh,
Like, and people act like
energy.
they can just mask everything by not like saying certain things. Your energy speaks for you.
Oof. Say that again. That's good. Energy speaks. Vibrations speak. So I'm sure he's laying in bed with her, not saying anything, but yet saying everything
Exactly.
by just
He's saying more by not saying anything that he could ever say by saying something.
oof. Ain't that? Ooh, that was good. That was good. That made me feel tingly. Wow. Yeah. I mean, exactly. So, how do you think? How can we love each other better in 2018? I mean, I don't know from your experience right now, but from my experience, it's hard. It's hard to, given where women are right now, as far as career wise and more independent, and we're all, getting our power back in a way, and we're kind of like leading a lot. Like, how do you think we can better come together in union in 2018?
I think part of loving people unconditionally or loving anyone, is loving them the way they want to be loved. I think sometimes we love people the way we want to be loved and we don't pay attention to how they want to receive love.
Oof.
We just give it the way we want to receive it. And
Mm.
even when he, like, for instance, when he stated like all the things that he's done for her to improve on herself, and you saw it as, oh, like this is someone who's done like everything that they could possibly do, he's at a crossroads. I read it as, it sounds like you proposed all the things you would have needed
Mm.
to, get yourself together. And that's nice because now she knows that if you ever gain 60 pounds, she knows what to do to get you back in shape.
Oof. So it's that, what is it called? Like reflection. Like people put their own perception of themselves on you, but really it's what they're really feeling. Especially when they're trying to tell you about what you should do. Really, what they're doing is talking to themselves.
I think so. Like, I mean, I think there are people who, they'll pay attention. They'll pay attention to the details. They'll pay attention to the things that you don't say, and they'll learn you. They'll take the time to learn you so that when the time comes to have to help you with something, they may know you a little better than you know yourself.
But you think they're really learning about you?
I think some people are very perceptive and they really do take the time to just, just look at the little details. I mean, clearly you can't find out everything about someone. I mean, people are going to have their secrets. People are going to have the things about them that they just keep near and dear and true to themselves that they don't share with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if you love someone and like you're like in love and you're in it to like love unconditionally and you're not trying to learn them enough to learn how they want to be loved, then that within itself is selfish.
Mm.
Like if you have to ask your partner like what they want as a gift or like things of that nature in the beginning, yeah, but at some point you should kind of like know like what someone likes. Some people don't even like gifts.
Right.
So and then you're like handing them gifts.
Right, and they're sitting there like, what are you doing? Why are you giving me gifts if this is not what I like? This is not my love languages. Have you heard the book? I mean, have you read the book?
I haven't read the book.
It's really good.
But I do think that like yeah, I mean I think if anything it would tie into what I was saying. People need to be loved differently.
And we just need to communicate more. So one of the things that you would say we need to do better in 2018 is communicate the way we want to be loved.
Yes.
Communicate it and also receive it, because I feel like sometimes you could communicate something to someone and they're gonna just pick and choose what they want to absorb about that.
Oh, do you mean like today when I gave you a compliment and you assumed that it was?
Oh, you gonna bring it up on the mic? Okay, let's do it. I'm ready, girl.
I mean, I'm not gonna bring it up, but I complimented you earlier, and you got very feisty about it.
And it wasn't feistiness off of me trying to come at you. Because I know that you care about me. I know that the things that you say are genuine. Like I know that you're my real friend. I don't ever question that. But I have seen a pattern in your compliments that come off a little bit on the sarcastic extreme side. And your statement was, you want me to say it? No, you don't want me to say it. Well, your statement was very extreme, and although I take the compliment, I love it. It would be great if that were real and true, but I know it's not, and you know it's not because you've seen me go through different parts of my life and different things of my life where I made a lot of mistakes, where I have been through really, really hard situations. So when you made that statement, I'm like, I mean, yeah, idealistically that would be great. But realistically, come on, you know that's not real. So it was just more of like your compliments come very flowered with perceptions, and it's your perception. I'll respect your perception, and I honor that because I think that's amazing that you see me in that way. But I'm like, let's really look at this picture over here, because I mean it might look good over here, but there's a lot of mess with this good, and it's the balance. So it wasn't like defensive. It was more like, come on, Todd. You really know.
I think that's just how you feel. I don't like, even if it was an overstatement, it wasn't an overstatement that was meant for sarcasm. It was just like, you tell people they're like great all the time. You can tell somebody they're the greatest at something and know that they might be the greatest at something because that's what you've seen. That doesn't mean that they're the greatest to everyone everywhere.
Right. That's how I took it. Like it was like very extreme, and I'm like, and you kind of, it was a pattern. It wasn't that specific thing. It was just the fact that you've done that several times, and I'm like, okay, let's stop with the sarcasm and these compliments because they come real extreme.
I just felt like well, we're kind of going on.
We're going on.
We're having a whole conversation
right. Let's
on air about something that no one knows.
It's okay. They don't have to know. That's fine. That is 100% fine. We can bring it up and confirm it and clear it up on the mic. This is what the mic is for, if you ask me. So, unconditional love. I know that you love me unconditionally with all your extravagant compliments. So, the one thing we have to do more, right? Just to wheel it back. One thing we need to do more is communicate how we want to be loved. What would you say is one other thing that we can do better in 2018 to love each other and ourselves unconditionally?
Tell yourself you're the greatest. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Oh, you hear that, y'all?
Speak into the mirror, Issa Rae style.
Speak Issa Rae style into the mirror and tell yourself all the great things that you are, because guess what, you are. Okay, that's a good one.
I mean, if you don't have a friend like Tatiana telling you that you're the bomb, then you're
Okay.
gonna have to tell yourself.
And find a friend, y'all, because I got mine. Okay? You need to find a friend that gives you extravagant compliments even when you don't see it. Okay? And that's a good one. Okay, I like that. So you guys, let's start being honest with each other about how we want to be loved. And I think before we even do that, I think we really need to take time to really think about what it is that we need or require to be loved unconditionally. I feel like sometimes we don't even know. And then we go into these relationships with expectations or wants and needs, and we don't really know what we want ourselves to make ourselves happy. So I think before we even go into the room to discuss how we want to be loved unconditionally, let's figure out ourselves how we want to be loved. I know I'm currently going through that right now, and I am writing it down and I am saying it, and I'm really trying to connect with myself and my own love for myself because that's so important. So, Tata, are you doing that too? It's time to do that in 2018. We need to love ourselves unconditionally, girl. That's what we do it, and love your friends unconditionally.
I'm working on me.
Yeah, we all are. This is a work in progress, okay, for life. So thank you guys for listening. I want to hear your thoughts. How do you love unconditionally? How would you love other people unconditionally? And how would you want to be loved? Share with us. Talk to us. Tell me more. We want to know. With that said, thank you for listening. It's always a pleasure. We have many, many, many more episodes coming up. I'm so excited. I have like 3 recordings this week. So beware. I'm coming back to back with them. Stay tuned and don't forget the after credits coming. Stay tuned. And here are the after credits from my co host. We match energy.
Before coming here today, Mel told me to write a letter to myself about unconditional love and how to love myself better. Truth is, that's way too intimate. But here are a few ways we can all love ourselves a little better. Don't be too hard on yourself, the world already has that covered. Don't blame anyone else for your mistakes, but don't harp on them either. We're all supposed to grow from our mistakes, not wither into despair. Give yourself adequate time to achieve your goals. Trying to adhere to deadlines that don't follow the natural course of your life path will only drive you to hate yourself more when you aren't where you want to be when you want to be. Be careful about who you let around you. Misery loves company and hate breeds more hate. Give positive affirmations to your inner self. Celebrate your achievements and your failures because your failures lead to lessons. Don't be afraid to be by yourself. This includes friends and romantic relationships. Time away from others puts things into perspective, giving you ample opportunity to fall in love with the little things about yourself that you didn't even know existed.